One day you're going to wake up, walk to your kitchen, pour a cup of coffee, and realize something absolutely terrifying. Something that makes your stomach drop and your brain short circuit for a second. You're going to realize that money isn't real. I'm not talking about some conspiracy theory you found in a dark corner of the internet. I'm talking about the cold, hard, mathematical reality of the world you live in. The moment you truly understand why that green paper in your wallet or those digits on your banking app are a collective hallucination, the entire financial system suddenly makes sense. The rat race looks like a choice instead of a destiny. Most people spend their entire lives bleeding, sweating, and crying over something that is essentially a digital ghost. They treat the currency like it is the finish line, never realizing they are running on a treadmill powered by their own exhaustion. Today, your illusion is about to break, and that might be the best thing that ever happens to your net worth. What is money, really? If you ask the average Joe on the street, he'll tell you it's value. He'll tell you it's what he gets for working 40 hours a week. But that's the worker's delusion. In reality, money is three things: trust, agreement, and an accounting system. It is a ledger of who owes what to whom, but the ledger itself has no soul. Think about a $100 bill. It's a crisp, high-quality piece of paper with Benjamin Franklin's face on it. It feels expensive. But do you know what it actually costs the Bureau of Engraving and Printing to make that bill? About 14 cents. 14 cents of ink and linen. The other $99.86? That's imaginary value. It only exists because you, me, and the guy at the grocery store all agree that it's worth $100. It's a social contract written in invisible ink. The second that trust evaporates, that $100 bill is just a very fancy napkin. Money isn't wealth, it's just the language we use to talk about wealth. And if you're spending your life chasing the language instead of the asset, you're losing the game before it even starts. You are studying the dictionary while other people are buying the printing press. Now, here is where the rabbit hole gets deeper. If money is just belief, where does it actually come from? Most people think the government prints it. That's only half the story. In our modern fiat trap, most money isn't printed. It's loaned into existence. It is conjured out of the void the moment someone signs a contract. When you go to a bank to get a $500,000 mortgage, the bank doesn't go into a vault and pull out 500,000 physical dollars. They don't take it from someone else's savings account. They literally type the numbers into a computer screen, and poof, $500,000 just entered the economy. Every dollar in your pocket began its life as a debt obligation. The entire global economy is a debt engine that requires constant borrowing just to keep the lights on. This is why the system needs inflation. It needs the value of the currency to drop so that the mountain of debt becomes easier to pay back with cheaper dollars. If you're saving cash, you're essentially holding a melting ice cube in a world that's getting hotter every year. You are being penalized for your discipline while the borrowers are being rewarded for their leverage. This is why you feel like you're running faster and faster just to stay in the same place. You're working for static units, dollars in a dynamic system, inflation. You're trading your finite time, the only thing you actually own, for infinite paper that can be created out of thin air by a guy in a suit at the Federal Reserve. Your life force is being harvested to subsidize a system that treats your savings like a buffet. The hamster wheel is designed to keep you productive. If you realize that the carrot at the end of the stick was made of plastic, you'd stop running. So, the system keeps the illusion alive. It tells you to focus on your credit score, which is basically just a good boy rating for how well you handle debt. It is a measurement of how profitable you are to a lender, not how wealthy you are to yourself. It tells you to save for retirement in a currency that will buy 50% less by the time you actually get there. The day you realize money isn't real is the day you realize that saving is a loser's game. You don't save your way to freedom, you position your way there. You move from the lane of the consumer to the lane of the owner. If money is a digital ghost, then what is real? This is the turning point. The people who win at this game are the ones who understand that you must convert fake money into real assets as fast as humanly possible. You treat the currency like a hot potato. You hold it only long enough to trade it for something that the world actually needs. Real wealth isn't a balance in a checking account. Real wealth is real estate, stocks, businesses, and commodities. Why? Because these things have intrinsic utility. People will always need a place to live. Companies will always produce goods. Gold will always be rare. These are the pillars of reality that stand firm while the currency fluctuates like a heartbeat. These assets don't care if the dollar is worth 100 cents or 10 cents. They adjust their price to match the reality of the market. When the money printers go brrr, the price of your house and your stocks goes up. You aren't getting richer. The measuring stick is just getting shorter. The architects of wealth don't chase cash, they chase ownership. They understand that in a world of infinite paper, the only thing that matters is what is finite. Once you accept that money is just a tool of measurement, your entire mindset shifts. You stop asking, how much does this cost? And you start asking, how much time am I trading for this? You begin to see every purchase as a withdrawal from your remaining days on Earth. You realize that your job is just a liquidity event. It's a way to get the fake paper so you can immediately swap it for real sovereignty. You stop clout chasing with designer clothes and luxury cars, which are just depreciating liabilities that keep you chained to the wheel. You realize that a logo on your chest is just a billboard for your own financial insecurity. Instead, you become obsessed with cash-flowing assets. You want to own the machine, not the product. You want to be the one who collects the rent instead of the one who pays the interest. The worker works for money. The architect makes money work for them. The worker is a servant to the accounting system. The architect is the one who owns the ledger. Here is the master secret that the top 1% understands. The richest people in the world are not chasing money. They are positioning themselves where the money is already flowing. They don't hunt for dollars. They build traps for them. Think of the global economy like a massive river of imaginary value. Most people are standing on the bank with a tiny cup trying to catch a few drops. They are exhausted fighting for scraps in the mud. The architects build a dam. They position themselves in front of human needs and market demands. They own the infrastructure of life. Whether the currency is the dollar, the euro, or a digital token, the flow always goes toward the owners. If you own the land, the code, or the equity, you are systemically protected from the hallucination of the currency collapse. You aren't rich because you have money. You're rich because you own the source. You have positioned yourself at the headwaters while everyone else is fighting over the silt at the delta. The day you realize money isn't real is a heavy day. It's the day you realize that the safety you were promised is a mirage. It's the day you realize that the bank vault is empty and the promises are written in sand. But it's also the day you become free. You stop being financially fragile. You stop panicking when the headlines scream about a recession. You realize that a recession is just a sale on real assets. It is a moment when the weak hands drop their ownership and the architects pick it up for pennies on the dollar. You move from a state of fear to a state of tactical execution. The system wants you to stay asleep. It wants you to keep believing that the 14-cent paper is the ultimate goal. It wants you to measure your worth by the size of your debt and the brand of your car.